An alleged Venezuelan drug boat destroyed by the U.S. military. 11 people dead. Washington says they were cartel-linked terrorists. Venezuela insists they were civilians. So what really happened at sea? Tonight, we break down the facts, the claims, and the high-stakes consequences for U.S.-Venezuela relations, the war on drugs, and even international law. According to U.S. officials, the strike occurred in international waters last week. Military surveillance spotted what they believed was a vessel carrying drugs, operated by the Venezuelan gang known as Tren de Aragua. But according to people familiar with the matter, when the boat saw a U.S. military aircraft overhead, the crew tried to turn back. That's when the strike came. Multiple hits from the air, destroying the vessel and killing everyone on board. President Trump later confirmed the death toll: 11 people killed. This is not a minor maritime interdiction. This was lethal force carried out directly by the U.S. military. So why did the U.S. act with such force? The White House says it was both legal and necessary. Press Secretary Anna Kelly stated President Trump acted under the laws of armed conflict, framing the operation less like a police raid and more like a military engagement. The Pentagon's chief spokesperson Sean Parnell reinforced that point, saying, "This strike sent a clear message. If you traffic drugs toward our shores, the U.S. military will use every tool at our disposal to stop you cold." The administration also quickly notified Congress. In a September 4 letter, the president wrote that he acted under his constitutional authority as commander-in-chief and as the nation's top diplomat. He emphasized that the U.S. would stay ready for further military operations if needed. In short, Washington is framing this as part of a broader national security mission, not just law enforcement. Host Vo. Venezuela tells a very different story. Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello called the U.S. claims false, saying, "None of those killed were gang members, none were drug traffickers." Host VO. Instead, Caracas insists the dead were civilians and that families in Venezuelan towns are still looking for their missing loved ones. Venezuelan TV has shown relatives demanding answers. Host VO. This is where the controversy sharpens. Was the U.S. strike a legitimate anti-terror operation, or a deadly mistake that wiped out civilians at sea? With no independent investigation yet, both sides are locked in a propaganda war. This strike also raises big legal questions. Presidential authority. Can the president order such strikes without congressional approval? Trump says yes, citing his duty to protect U.S. citizens. Critics in Congress worry this is a dangerous precedent, using military force outside of declared war zones. International law. Striking a foreign vessel in international waters is only legal if it poses a direct and imminent threat. The fact that the boat was reportedly turning back complicates Washington's case. Evidence. So far, no hard evidence has been made public that those on board were part of Tren de Aragua or carrying drugs. To understand why the U.S. acted so aggressively, you need to know about Tren de Aragua. The gang started inside Venezuelan prisons but has grown into one of the most feared groups in Latin America. It's involved in drug trafficking, extortion, kidnapping, and human smuggling. Earlier this year, the White House officially labeled it a foreign terrorist organization, putting it in the same category as Al-Qaeda. So if the U.S. military believed the boat was linked to Tren de Aragua, the logic was, neutralize it before it gets closer to American shores. But that depends entirely on whether the intelligence was right. The strike has already escalated diplomatic tensions. Venezuela, already hostile toward Washington, is framing this as proof of U.S. aggression. There's also an economic dimension. Venezuela remains a key oil supplier, and further clashes could disrupt energy markets. Meanwhile, Latin American governments are watching closely, worried about U.S. military actions spilling into regional waters. So what do we make of this? If Washington is correct, this was a successful strike against a violent cartel, a message to traffickers worldwide. If Caracas is correct, this was a catastrophic blunder, killing innocent people and undermining America's credibility. Right now, the facts are murky, the evidence is secret, and the political stakes are high. What's certain is that the U.S. drug war has entered a more aggressive and riskier phase. Do you think the U.S. was justified, or was this an overreach with deadly consequences? Let us know in the comments and stay tuned for more breakdowns of global flashpoints.